aí, pessoal. Okay.
So many people. How are you? We are live on YouTube right now, but here on Instagram, I'm sending streaming for a lot of drummers around the world. Just a few moments, we start here.
So many people.
Great.
How are you?
O'Neon.
We are live on YouTube right now, but here on Instagram, I'm sending streaming for a lot of drummers around the world. Just a few moments. We start here.
Hi,
with
Fabio.
The great Vicky O'Neon. O'Neon. Sorry, but it's still great. Drummer. Okay. Just a few moments.
There are a lot of drummers that you love this streaming.
Okay. Just sending the streaming for the people. A bunch of people.
Really be good.
Okay.
Manuel.
There are a lot of drummers that you love this streaming around the world.
How are you, people? I have to say something in Portuguese first, okay? And after this, I will try to speak English. And after this, I will call the great Vicky to talk with us for 1 hour.
How are you, people? So, I have to say something in Portuguese first, okay? And after this, I will try to speak my best English. And after this, I will call the great Vicky to talk with us for 1 hour. So, let's go.
Super legal.
Em português first. Pessoal, nós temos aqui ainda essa necessary Girls on Drums. Você pode colocar o seu fone de ouvido aqui, certo? Você pode guardar o seu fone de ouvido.
Fala, Janaína.
Super legal, é desse aqui dentro.
Essa necessária que é
você pode colocar o seu fone de ouvido, colocar suas pecinhas, chavinhas de afinação. Às vezes, se você quiser colocar sua escova de pasta de dente na hora que você for viajar,
pequenos microfones, o trigger da sua bateria,
você pode usar essa necessária que é exclusiva do Girls on Drums e está acabando, certo? Se
eu ainda não tenho, mas vou
essa necessária
fala comigo
do Girls, você pode usar o seu fone, guardar o seu fone de ouvido,
que está acabando.
Pequenos microfones, o trigger da sua bateria,
você pode
carregar aqui. Super legal, ela é
da empresa, ele que é a
charme, muito legal.
É um boné
eu ainda
muito
não tenho,
bacana.
mas vou ter. Fala comigo aqui, depois aqui que a gente conversa sobre essa necessária exclusiva
você vai lá
que está acabando. E outro lance muito legal que eu quero falar para vocês é esse boné aqui, ó. O meu amigo Kenji, da empresa dele, que é a Ritmo. É um boné muito bacana, esse cor-de-rosa aqui, super bonito. Curtiu, achou legal? Você vai lá.
O Kenji está trazendo, são óculos, bonés, camisetas, tem várias coisas.
.com.br
também.
Digita lá o
beleza?
Girls on
Então,
Drums,
agora eu vou mudar
a
chavinha para o inglês, vou tentar mais uma vez, e a gente já chama
nesses bonés e em diversos outros produtos aí que
thank you
so much. Está trazendo. Então, são óculos, bonés, camisetas, tem várias coisas aqui na escola também. Beleza? Então, agora eu vou mudar a chavinha para o inglês, vou tentar mais uma vez, e a gente já chama nossa convidada. Hello people, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for watching this streaming. This is our 107
walls
streaming, number 107 streaming with
Vicky
so
O'Neon.
many great drummers around the world. Okay,
and
for today we have
as
very
a drummer,
special guest
composer,
from
performer.
Walls.
We have so
País
many
de Gales, em português,
and subjects to talk with
Vicky
Vicky.
O'Neon.
But I have to say to you, we have just 1 hour, 1 hour to talk with Vicky
as a drummer,
she
composer,
has
performer. So
drum lesson.
We have so many questions and subjects to
so we
talk
have
with
1
Vicky.
hour. Don't
But
lose your chance.
I have to say to
your
you,
questions.
We have just
and
1
comments for
hour.
Vicky.
1 hour to talk with
question
Vicky
toolbox
because she
down
has
below. You see
a schedule, drum lesson,
like a column.
After
and send your questions. We have so many.
1 hour. Don't lose your chance. Send your questions
just
and comments for Vicky using
let's go.
The question toolbox down below.
And call
you see this like a balloon. And send your questions. We have so many things to talk with Vicky, but
just waiting for.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
For sure, you are the most colorful artist that we had here on this 107 streamings. Can you believe?
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing having you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Here.
For the very first time that I saw a pic of you, I thought, wow, Kylie Minogue play drums.
Really?
Yeah. sometimes I had that impression. I had to say see your pic again. Oh no, not Kylie Minogue. But you are so great doing what you do. You don't have to be a Kylie Minogue. You are Vicky O'Neon.
Oh, Neon.
Oh, Neon. Yes.
And the letters Neon stands for no evidence of normal.
Yeah. So, thank you for being with us, and let's talk about your great work. To begin, which were your first impression on drums? Because you play percussion, drums, electronic drums, you sing, you performer. Wow! But let's go to the past. The very first impression with drums.
So I think where I really fell in love with drums was actually in Latin America. So because I basically, when I was 18, I went backpacking, and I also came to Brazil. Then I was backpacking to a lot of different countries in South America. I was there for 6 months, and I was actually gonna study political history. I had a place in the university in Finland, but I just really fell in love with rhythms and drums when I was over there, and I always found myself somewhere on a beach with a pair of bongos or just whatever drums there were around in my hands, and I was just fascinated by rhythms. So when I came back from that trip, I decided to take another gap year, really, to explore music, and specifically rhythms, actually. And there was a music school close to my hometown in Finland. I'm from a small town in Finland. So I just went to that school, and I stayed in that school actually for a couple of years, and I started to take drum lessons. I had an amazing drum teacher, and I just absolutely fell in love with the drum kit. And I realized that this is what I want to do. This is what I want to focus on. This is what I want to have as a career. I want to become a kit player, a drummer. And that was like a big sort of life shift for me, I guess, because up until that point, I always thought I would study something theoretical, and then music. I just fell in love with music, and especially the drum kit. And here we are now. I think that was like 14 years ago or something like that. I moved. Basically, what happened after that then was that I just Googled music schools Europe, because I knew I wanted to study drums. I was open to go anywhere where I could really learn and connect with the drum kit that I wanted. And I found a school in London that was called DrumTech at the time. It was like Europe's first contemporary drum school. It's now called BIMM. So I applied to that school and got in, and then I moved to London and spent the next 3 years doing a degree in drumming there. And that was the beginning of my whole London adventure. And now I've been 11 years in the UK, and for 10 of those years I lived in London. And now with lockdown and everything that's happened, the crazy world that we're now living in, and the pandemic, about 6 months ago I realized that actually London wasn't really giving to me what I loved about it, because I couldn't go out and play gigs. I couldn't go out and listen to music or go to jam nights. And it was the music that I was so much in love with when it came to London. And if you remove all of that, it can actually feel like a quite challenging city to live in. It's very expensive, first of all. So that's why I've actually made this transition now, moving to Swansea in Wales. I now live right by the beach. I grew up right by the sea. I really miss the sea and the water, and I'm very, very happy here. So it's been cool, a cool transition.
Yeah, so great story from yours. Do you remember the very first drum, not drum kit, but a drum that you had?
I built my own snare drum, which was one of the first drums that I had. Actually, that's not true. When I was 12 years old, my dad actually gave me a drum kit. But it wasn't, I can't even remember what the brand was, to be honest. It was not very good, but it was just something, but I never really started to play it back then. I think that was like an idea I had. I was too scared to start playing it. It was just too intimidating for me. So I had to come to South America to then actually fall in love with rhythms and drums. And then I got brave enough to actually pick up the sticks and start playing properly. But then after that, when I got serious about drums, one of the first drums that I got was a snare drum that I built myself from mahogany, and it was with a guy who runs a small little drum building company called Tiki Drums. So I did that in Brighton in the UK, and it's a beautiful sounding snare drum that I'm still in love with. It has a quite dark sound, so I bring it out. I know when it works really well, but it was such a cool experience quite early on in my drum career to also build my own snare drum, because I just understood how drums work far better after that experience.
Yeah. You said something about I was a little afraid to try to play drums. Sometimes I saw some students, female students here, that have the same phrase to try the drums. What do you think about this? Do you think it's because for a long time the women were so far away from drums because all that kind of a man instrument? Do you think it's something like this?
Well, this is something that I'm actually hugely passionate about, to a point where I've just created a whole 12-episode series called Drumming Through the Decades, which is especially highlighting female identifying drummers. And I just released the first episode this Tuesday, which is basically talking about what happened 2000 BC all the way up until the 1900s. So I'm just going to start there and give a little bit of background info, and then tell you my opinions and thoughts on all of this. Because yes, I have definitely dealt with a lot of insecurities behind the drum kit, and I know for a fact that a lot of women do experience the same thing. And by doing research and putting things into context, I sort of start to understand and see why. But basically 2,000 years ago, all drummers used to be women, which is like such an interesting fact. And they used to be leaders of all artistic and religious activities in society. And especially when it came to drumming, it was considered the beat of Mother Earth. And this was something that was happening for hundreds of years, really, up until the medieval times, so about 500 AD. And then things just changed drastically, and a lot of instruments were banned, and priests became like the primary musicians, and women were forbidden to play music altogether, and were in general given like a really oppressed role in society. And then there was like, through these times, there was like superstar nuns, they are referred to today, which secretly kept the music tradition alive by teaching other nuns to sing and play. And for example, the tambourine was like an illegal instrument at the time, but some of these nuns, like Teresa of Avila or Saint Hildegard, they kept the drum in their practice, because the frame drum was really the first drum that people started playing on, and especially women. And the frame drum has jingles on it sometimes. So they sort of kept this tradition alive over hundreds of years. And then when we get to like the 1800s, then women are slowly sort of allowed to start playing music and musical instruments, but now we have this idea introduced of masculine and feminine instruments, and drums was definitely not considered a feminine instrument. Not even string instruments were. It was only really piano and harpsichord and harp that were like female, so-called feminine instruments, and they were expected to be played womanly and gracefully. So we get this whole like gender idea introduced sort of in the 1800s, and that's something that I feel like we still see the reminiscence of today, all these times after this. And it's interesting to read like reviews from performances back in those days, because for example, this harpist, incredible harp player, and I read this review, and she was commented on her playing in only 3 words, and the rest, it was like a long review. It was all just about her appearance and how she looked. So there's always been this extra element being a female musician, a female drummer, especially because it is considered such a male-dominated instrument, where there's been other things that people have been looking at, or when they look at you subconsciously, and then as a female performer, there's more pressure on you. So for a very long time, when I went up on stage, I always felt more pressure to prove that I could actually play, because people weren't expecting it. And I think this also comes then to, because there wasn't as many women doing these things, and even when there was incredible musicians, you know, they weren't allowed to perform at the same places. Like orchestras used to also be called men-only clubs, for example. And it wasn't really until the Second World War, especially when we talk about the drum kit. The drum kit is an American invention, so a lot of the early drum kit history and drummers come from the United States. And it wasn't really until the Second World War when men had to go out in the war, that women were then, it was their patriotic duty actually to step in and perform in these orchestras. So we saw a lot of all-female orchestras, which we had started to see sort of a decade earlier as well. But that's when people really got their eyes up for all this incredible talent that existed, but they just had not been given the chance prior to this. And one drummer who played a huge role in this, her name is Viola Smith. And she passed away last year, and she was 107 years old when she passed away, which is incredible. She had an absolutely incredible career, and people used to refer to her as the female Gene Krupa. Now, within the drum world, everyone knows who Gene Krupa is, but not everyone knows who Viola Smith is, you know? So it's like all these drummers that have actually had a big impact, they just haven't been picked up the same way, you know? Because it's often the history haven't been written by women. The music magazines have not been written by women, you know, so they wouldn't be put to the forefront the same way. And then this whole idea of you can't be what you can't see is what we then see as a result of, you know, generations of this happening. So when you grow up, you as a girl or a female identifying person, you know, you don't think, oh, maybe that could be a profession that I could do, or maybe that's something I could get into, because most of the people that you see do it is guys, you know.
Yes.
So then it's harder to even start approaching that instrument. And this story, this narrative is something that I've heard from so many of my peers and so many of my friends. And I've also been heavily involved in this international network called Girls Rock. And I've co-founded Girls Rock London and a similar organization in Finland called Rock Donna, which is basically music camps for girls, women, and gender minorities. And those places, those camps are all about creating a safe space for our participants to come and explore their creativity, where actually in some ways gender is taken out of the equation because everyone is sharing the same gender, and there's not the whole thing, oh, I've never seen a girl drummer, or you're a girl drummer now behind the drums. You're just there to play and to get confident in exploring your creativity. So I think, to come back to your question, I think it's a lot of history that has basically just shaped the way that subconsciously we think about things, both as men and women and everything in between, you know.
For those people who even don't saw the video that Vicky have, please try out the YouTube channel. Vicky, please say for people here your YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah. So the name of my YouTube channel is Vicky O'Neon. So you just type that into YouTube and you will see the whole channel come up. And then I have a playlist there called Drumming Through the Decades, which will also be the first video popping up now, because that's my latest release. And there's gonna be one episode released every week now on a Tuesday, 6 p.m. UK time for the next 3 months. And that will take you up to, so the next episode will cover from the 1900s till the 1920s, so 2 decades. And then after that, it will be 1 decade per episode, taking us up to 2021.
Yeah, I saw the video. I saw all your videos. We have here Elisa Pilotti from Italy. Hi, Elisa. Next Saturday, we have a special class with Elisa Pilotti from Italy. Hi, Elisa. And we have Kira. Hi, Kira. How are you? We will have a special class with Kira. I think it's September. Don't lose. That's why I start the Girls on Drums Festival. Actually, I don't know if you know about it, but Girls on Drums Festival is a real festival. It's not a festival, a streaming festival only. We have to stop this festival last year. Guess why? Because the pandemic, of course. But Girls on Drums is a real drum festival, real drummers and real public, real people seeing the festival. I hope that next year we can return with the festival, 5 days festival here in Brazil. And let's see what happens. I really have faith in this. Okay. I want to talk about your equipment, but the time flies. Let's talk a little bit about the Drumathon Live. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so Drumathon Live is basically was a fundraiser to raise money for mental health and to drum for mental health. And it was like a drum marathon that was happening online from the 15th of May for a whole week, non-stop drumming, 264 hours with famous drummers from all over the world. And it was such an incredible thing to be a part of. And also because mental health is something that is very important for me, both in my personal life. This last year, I really struggled with my mental health, and I've been getting help from these different mental health charities, some of them that we were supporting with Drumathon Live. And so I know how crucial it is if you're in that dark place to get that help and to be able to drum, which is what I guess I do best in life. That's what I love doing, and to be able to drum for that purpose specifically, I think it meant a lot to me. And also with all the work that we're doing with Girls Rock London and Rock Donna, a lot of it is about mental health, and it's about using music as a vehicle for better mental health. And it's a really powerful thing to do, I think. And it's an amazing event. They created it for the first time last year when the pandemic had just started for the same purpose. and they managed to raise £45,000 for different mental health charities in the UK. And unfortunately, this year, the first 3 days when it had opened, the funding platform was malfunctioning. It was down, so no one could donate. So I don't actually know what the figures ended up on, but it's still open for donation, although the event is over. And so you can just go to drumathonlive.com and you can see the different performances that was taking place. There was like Coldplay's drummer, Kasabian's drummer, Simple Minds drummer, and a lot of women also drumming, which was really cool. And people were doing everything from a 1 hour to a 12-hour set. And I was the first drummer actually that started off the whole thing. So it feels like you're running a race, and then you're doing your little sprint, and then you're giving the baton to the next drummer to then continue.
Yeah, I saw your video. You was playing drum covers, drum solos for 1 hour, correct?
Yeah. So what was also so powerful about Drumathon Live was that we could completely pick our own sets and what we wanted to do and perform. And I was like, wow, because most of the time as a drummer, you're playing for an artist and you get told, this is the set list, this is what we're doing. But to be able to suddenly create your own set of whatever you want to play was such a fun challenge, but also hard, because I was like, in 1 hour, like there's millions of tunes I would like to actually put into this hour set. But I ended up playing a few of my own songs that I've written that hasn't been released yet. So it was like a little preview to the world of showcasing them. And then also playing a couple of songs from different artists that I play with. And also some collaborations that I've done. And then just some of my favorite covers also.
Yeah, so like me, you believe that play drums is good for health, mental health and body health, and for can turn down the daily stress for mainly for nowadays. Do you believe in this? Correct?
Yes, very, very much so. And I guess I practice that every day in just within myself. And I think, the drum kit and drums has been such a huge part of who I am and where I'm at today. And I also see it because I'm a very passionate educator, I guess. I love teaching, and I teach in many different contexts. I do private teaching over Zoom, but then I also go into colleges and schools and I do workshops. I also do, I've done the drum circle facilitator training to run drum circles for people that have never touched the drum before. Sometimes I go in and work with big companies and stuff like that. And regardless of what the outlet is, it always brings a smile to people's faces, and I think it's something very primitive, drumming, that I think we should all connect with. And in some ways it's like, I don't like these labels that are like, you're a drummer, you're a musician, you're not, because we all have the ability within us to drum, really.
Yeah, I agree, for sure. Talking about teaching people, we are now at half hour streaming. We have more 30 minutes. Don't lose your chance. Send your question for Vicky. I have plenty of questions, but send your questions using the question toolbox down below. But I saw a question here from an ex-student of mine about drum books. Do you use drum books to teach or for your own studying time?
Yes, I do, and I have actually. Let me bring some of them over because I have a lot of. Well, I'm not using all of them because even with one book, sometimes you can spend years, But I'll bring some of them over. Just give me one sec.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I do like my drum book. I'm just gonna give you a little outtake of some of the ones that I use. I usually tend to, I mean, I've had some of these for 10 years now, and I haven't looked inside of some of them for 7 years, you know, but then I usually try to find one and really like focus and hone in on that. And then I just take ideas from different books when it comes to my teaching, depending on who I'm teaching, what level they are at, and so on. But a couple of books that I find really useful, that I really like when it comes to teaching, is the grading system that exists in the UK. There's this series called Rock School, where you can basically you're studying, and then you can do an exam, and there's a level from level 1 to level 8 here in the UK. So those books look like this, and they have basically a bunch of songs from different genres in them, and then you can download backing tracks, and there's technique exercises, sight reading exercises, ear tests, and so on. So I find these books really useful, actually. It's a great grading system. And what else do I have here? I have stick control.
Of course.
This one is good just to practice your hand technique, practice your rudiments. This book I love. It's the Time Functioning Patterns by Gary Chaffee.
I studied with Gary Chaffee.
Huh?
I studied with Gary Chaffee for a week.
Wow. That's where did you do that?
Here in my city. He came a long time ago and stayed here for 1 week. I have two funny stories about this, but if you had time, I can tell for the people. Just move with your drum books. It's better for now.
Okay. But with this one, I've mainly been working on the linear phrasing, which is something that I think is super fun, and I still feel like I have so much to explore within that world, really. And then what else do we have here? Groove Essentials by Tommy Igoe. This is just play along tracks covering loads of different styles, which is really good. I use this one for teaching also sometimes.
Yeah.
Syncopation. This one I've had since I started. Take it out every now and then. There's actually one page specifically that I've done about 100 million different exercises with. Yeah. So what I like about it is that it's sight reading, but you can apply it in so many different ways. And I've been practicing soloing actually quite a lot when it comes to this, and learning about phrasing. This I've chewed to death. New breed. So it doesn't even have the cover left anymore. But this one is all about like basically picking a pattern in your right hand, so your right or your hi-hat, and then you're sticking to that pattern, and you're going through all these different, and sometimes it can be more than that. You can have your left foot also involved, and the snare drum. It's actually like you have an ostinato, so a set rhythm for your right hand, your left hand, and your left foot sometimes, and then it's just the bass drum that is moving, and then it's just a big, basically just going through. It's just loads of different rhythms in it as well, and they get more complicated the further you go along, and then towards the end of the book, it's just more complex rhythms. So it's really practicing your independence and your coordination and your technique. That's what I've been focusing on with the New Breed book. The odd time reading. And then we got Groove Alchemy. I did a masterclass with Stanton Moore a few years ago. He's really all about, he's from, I don't know if he's from New Orleans or he lives in New Orleans, but that's sort of like the roots of his playing, and then it goes into funk. So anything between New Orleans playing to funk. And this one covers a lot of like James Brown's drummers, for example, and he's transcribed a lot of those grooves in here, which is super cool. And yeah, I mean, it keeps on going. We got the Brazilian Rhythms. Do you know this book?
Yeah, the Duca.
Yeah. Yes, and there's also one that might be in here somewhere with Afro-Cuban rhythms.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's it. I mean, it continues, but I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah, can I show you my library?
Yeah.
It's in front of me, just in front of me. Just 1 minute to turn the camera. Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Do you have a lot of the books that I have in there as well?
Yeah, there's more in there. There's more in there. Yeah, there's more in there.
Nice.
So many books.
I know.
So many books. So many drums. Not so many time to finish.
I know.
Yeah.
And actually, I also have a Drumeo subscription. So I actually.
No, I don't have.
I have. So I tend to spend a lot of time actually just on YouTube and on the screen. I'm not using books as much as I used to actually anymore.
Yeah.
Because of the internet, I guess.
Yeah, it have a very good faces up. It's good, but it's not so good because we are living in a some strange time that people want to be a part of others. You know why? But it's not so good because mainly for drum teaching, it's very important to maintain the focus and the doing the interactive. I'm saying correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a real interaction with the teacher. But
yeah, I've actually what I've experienced now being forced to teach via Zoom, because first I was like, oh my God, how is this even gonna work? But then that was the only option. Yeah. And yeah, some things are definitely more challenging than doing it in person, but I've still been quite impressed by how much you can do over the screen and connect over the screen as well, actually more than I initially thought. And the one aspect that I do like about it is that I now have students from many different countries around the world. And that's something that I would never have been able to before. It was just my immediate environment that I was able to teach in prior to this. But I don't think that Zoom is like, you know, it will never be the same, obviously, when you're in the room with someone. But I do think it's a nice addition that we have now that we can use even when the world gets back to normal again.
Yeah. This is a very good side of this kind of strange times. I'm doing this kind of stuff right now. I'm doing lessons on internet and doing special promotions at Instagram and so on. So talking about a drum room, let's see what kind of toys you have at your drum room.
Okay, so I live in a like residential area, so I have neighbors on both sides. So I have an electronic drum kit because I can't have an acoustic drum kit set up here, and it's actually the first time that I've started using an electronic drum kit after all of my years of playing, because I've been so reluctant to it, to be honest, because I just always felt when I tried to play electronic kits that you cannot play the same way and you don't get the sensitivity that I like being a kit player, until I went to the NAMM show last year, just before COVID. I've been going to the NAMM show for many years, but last year when I went there and I tried some of Roland's new kits, I was like, oh my God, they finally cracked it. Like now, it like with some of the technology that is out today, the playing experience is actually really amazing on electronic kits and V-drums specifically, and that just changes everything, because there's so many things that are easier with having an electronic kit. First of all, when it comes to miking something up, like now, this is my Roland kit. It's a TD27KB. So the drum module is called TD27, and you can basically have 24 outputs from it. So that means that you can record every individual drum as a stereo output, and all you need is a USB cable. With acoustic drums, as we know, there's a lot more that goes into, and you also have a built-in room mic and overhead mics into that setup, and obviously the options between kits is also endless, you know. So there's a lot of like bonuses, and then you can also capture MIDI at the same time. And I'm working with Excellent Audio as well, and they've sent all like a bunch of their addictive drums to me, and all of their kits also sound absolutely incredible. So then I can even go in afterwards and see. But the Roland kits also have so many amazing drums just built in. So most of the time I just use them, but I also have the option to then go in and just have the whole addictive drums world available for me in post-production if I feel like I want to go and change sounds and so on. So that's, yeah, so here's my electronic drums. That's probably where I spend most of my time, but I do also play a lot of percussion. So that's a little bit like tucked away at the moment. But I got my acoustic drums just here in the corner, unfortunately. Sometimes they come up and play. And here's my, you can see my congas, and I got my timbales also packed down there. And here is my little snare shelf. Here is the, I don't know if you can see, let me just put some more light onto here. I want to show you the snare drum that I was talking about. That was the first snare drum I built. It's this one here. I can take it out. But yeah, I have a few, I like colorful drums. I have a few colorful as well. And just different sizes. A lot of them are not being used at the moment, to be honest, but I would never, I can't sell them. Nah. And I know that there's also like, obviously when gigs start to happen now again, which is super cool. So then I will have more time to take them out on the road. But yeah, this is the snare drum. The first snare drum I owned, that I built.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and then I have over here, looks a bit messy at the moment. I have just more like smaller percussion. These are super cool. They're called Aqua Drums. It's a company from Poland. I also met when I was at the NAMM show. Let me see if I can take down one of them. They sound a little bit like a simpler version of a hand pan or hand drum with different pitches. So I have like 3 different colors of them. Let me just show you. So it's like this kind of that kind of sound.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then they definitely didn't clean up before this, so it's a little bit messy. But here's just my hand percussion sound effects shelf, toys, and I have a lot of fun toys. Here's, for example, a couple of pieces I found on the beach the other day. I'm always looking for fun sounds, anywhere and everywhere, and just try to like collect them. And here's just like some seaweed, basically, that I found on the beach the other day. That sounds fun. I think I need both of my hands to play it, but it sounds really cool. Anyways, yeah. And then I have a couple of interesting drums actually here. One of them is A-frame. I don't know, have you heard of that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a super cool electro-organic instrument, they call it. You can have it like strapped around you wireless, and it has some incredible sounds. It's all, instead of being like sample based, it's synthesis based, but you can get some, just like mad sounds. I don't think I'll be able to actually connect it now, but or it will take too long, but I just want to show you what it looks like.
Yeah.
So it looks like this. It's by a company called ATV. They used to be Roland back in the day.
Yeah.
And the frame is like super cool. You can scratch it. You can, depending on how you play it, or if you also push it in, you can like bend notes. So there's a lot of like pitched sounds in there as well. So that's a real fun one. And then I also have, this is the last one, I think now. Yeah, that will be enough of the tour. I have something called a walkabout drum. Have you seen these before? It looks like an acoustic guitar body, and it sounds a little bit like a cajon.
Oh yeah.
Super like portable. So I just put this around me, and it has these like jingles on the inside. These little plates that you put inside, and then they rattle basically, and you have like different ones that you can put. Let me see. I just try to put this on. So it's difficult to do this at the same time. And I'm holding the phone. Maybe I can put down the phone just for a second. Yeah, so it looks like this. Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like portable things. If you're going somewhere and maybe there's gonna be a jam or whatever, at least you have something with you that you can play. Because the drum kit is so bloody big and hard to bring to those kind of occasions.
Yeah, it's amazing. You have so many toys
I know.
in your room. It's like me. I have Roland behind me in this room. I have much more Roland into the case. You know, this is Hand Sonic, 2 Hand Sonics, SPD 30, SPDX X, and so on, and drum kits here. 3 drum kits here.
Wow.
And just one room. We have 2 more drum rooms here, but your toys are so amazing. There's so many things that you can play with this stuff, correct? But you do tell us a little bit.
Right. I like it for writing as well.
Yeah. Tell us. We have so many subjects to talk about, but we don't have so much time. People, we have just 10 minutes with Vic. Just 10 minutes. So send your questions. Tell us about playing with a DJ. I saw some performance with you. I play with DJ too, and let's share it with people the idea to play with the DJ.
It's called DJ Live. It's a concept that's very popular here in the UK. So I work for a lot of different agencies, and we would fly out to wherever. I've been fortunate to go to so many beautiful places doing the DJ Live thing, to the Maldives, to small islands in Thailand and what have you. So it would be like either beach clubs or weddings or some kind of, just different events. And it's a really popular concept where you would have a DJ. Often it's house music, but within house music there's so many different subgenres. You can combine almost anything with house, and you just get that 4 on the floor beat, and we got house, you know. And you would have often a live saxophone player, a live percussion player, live vocalist. Not always. Sometimes it's just instrumental. Sometimes you have 2 live vocalists. Sometimes you have violin. Sometimes you have trumpet. So it varies a little bit. But there's a few different groups over the past, I'd say, 7 years that I've been playing with. And the first one, and the one that I've been doing most of this work with is called High on Heels, which is an amazing all-female collective, and there's just mad talent in that collective, and it's so cool to see like a lot of the women from that group has now become my very best friends, and a lot of them have had big releases as well, both the vocalists and instrumentalists.
Great, fantastic. It's almost like me, playing with saxophone, sometimes with vocal, doing weddings and so on. Yeah, last year we didn't have any job, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Normally it's a very well paid job, and much better than play with a rock band.
I know, it always pays like double than any gig I get on the drum kit. I don't know why. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, do you prefer play with the DJ using acoustic percussion or all electronic?
Definitely acoustic percussion when it comes to performing with the DJ. I feel like the electronics gets, because the tracks are so heavily produced already, so I feel like the electronics gets a bit lost in there. But then for example, I don't have the kind of like electronic hand percussion. I've seen some percussion players do that really successfully, but for me, I just love the acoustic percussion in that context. I love my congas, bongos, timbales. I love my timbales so much. And then I usually have like a little 10-inch snare, tiny little hi-hats, chimes, wood blocks. Yeah, that's sort of my setup for that. And I think it works really well for me.
Yeah, I prefer use, in my case, I prefer use almost all electronic.
Yeah.
All Roland, Hansonics, two Hansonics, SPDS 30, and acoustic cymbals, chinas and crashes, and timbales. And all the events, people here prefer electronic. I don't know why, but
interesting. Yeah.
We have just 5 minutes, and before we go and finish this incredible streaming with Vicky, please, Vicky, tell us about your, I know it's so hard task to do this, but I have to ask you about your 5 top drummers, female, just female. I know that you like so many drummers, no problem, but just for now, just talk about your top 5 female drummers.
Oh, well, first one will definitely be Sheila E. She's been a big inspiration to me throughout my career, both as a kit player and as a percussion player and as a songwriter and artist as well. So she's definitely there. I do love Pocket Queen, who is I've only really got to know via Instagram, but she is super funky, and I just love her whole attitude as well. And then I probably want to add Viola Smith in there, definitely. Yeah. I think it's incredible what she's done with her career, and also what she's been representing, and how that's paved the way for maybe even me being a drummer subconsciously in some way, you know. Karen Carpenter, I think is amazing as well, and it makes me angry to like read about her career and how she was always just pushed to be the singer and be the pretty front face of the band. When you see her drum and you see her drum skills, and she was amazing. She was really amazing, and I think that did have an impact on her mental health and how everything that happened in her life. Yeah. So she's definitely up there, and it's so
one left.
One left. I know.
Vicky. Do you know Vicky? That colorful drummer.
Who's that?
Yeah, it's my choice.
Is that your choice? Thank you. It would probably be like one of my friends or one of the like current UK female drummers, because there's so many like mind-blowing ones here. Yeah, just like Kira that was on last week. She's amazing. Holly Madge is amazing. Emily Dolan Davies is amazing. Cherise Osei is amazing. Debbie Knox is amazing. Leah Drummer is amazing. Repercussion is amazing. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, we did streaming with Cherise Osei last year. It was fantastic. Very good. We have a question that just came here. It's in Portuguese. I will translate for you, okay? Is not a question, is a comment from Aline Souza, a Brazilian drummer, a very friend of mine, a so lovely girl and very good drummer from Brazil. Aline is saying, I like it so much, the Vicky sounds, and I started following her on Instagram. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Huh.
You know, you are the first guest here that said something about Viola and Karen Carpenter for the very first time today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad that that's, you know, included now. I think they both were very important. Mo Tucker is another one that's also very important. The way she approached drumming, like not really using cymbals in her setup, that just created the sound of Velvet Underground, you know, and it's amazing when you have that kind of impact and influence as a drummer as well.
Yeah, Feast Purity is saying yes, I will do the same to follow her on Insta.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Vicky, we have just I'm so sorry, people. 2 minutes with Vicky, but Vicky, we will say for us her social medias and how to talk with her. And after this, please, Vicky, say your final words for the drummers here, for the beginner drummers, or some kind of inspiration words. Please be my guest.
So first, my social media. Instagram is probably where I'm the most active, where you will see the most updates and stuff like that. That's Vicky O'Neon Drums. And then my YouTube channel, that's where you can find live performances or breakdown videos. I use Ableton a lot, and also I do my own neon remixes where I take covers but I make my completely own versions. And that's also where this series, Drumming Through the Decades, is being released. So I would love it if you want to subscribe there, because I'm quite new on the YouTube platform, but that's where like all the work that I'm really crafting is going up. And that's just under Vicky O'Neon. And then I also have a TikTok account, again, a real newbie, that's under Vicky O'Neon. If anyone is using TikTok, you can follow me there. And then I have a website as well, www.vickyoneon.com, where you can also subscribe for updates and stuff like that.
Yeah, and your final words for drummers, beginners, drummers that will see this streaming after. Say what comes to your heart.
Yes, what do I want to say? Just do what you love, you know, even beyond drumming. If you're not a drummer, I think that's a really important thing. But whatever makes you happy, you know, follow that voice in you. And yeah, drumming is really powerful for all aspects of us and our communities. Join a drum circle if you can, anywhere, wherever you are. It's a really amazing experience to be a part of. And yeah, for all drummers out there, just keep on drumming and hit me up. I think the drum community is one of the best communities that I've been involved with, that I've met. Always so incredibly supportive. It's a special breed, drummers. It's you know, and it's beautiful. So I would love to connect with all of you drummers out there. So drop me a line, say hi, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, great, fantastic people. I'm so sorry, we have to go now. We have a student right now, correct?
Yeah, I actually have another live stream that I'm going on to. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's Ableton skills that I'm going to.
Yeah, great. I will talk with you on WhatsApp app later to say thank you. So right now, thank you for being here, people. Thank you for watching this great streaming with Vicky O'Neon. Fantastic drummer, fantastic artist. You don't lose the chance to talk with Vic and check it out, her social medias, videos, and songs. And Vicky, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your time. Okay, you're amazing. I will talk with you later. Thank you so much for your time and patience.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. See you, people, Saturday with Elisa Pilotti from Italy.
Wicked.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.